This is today's business leaders. Actionable advice from real-world professionals. And now here's your host, Gabe Arnold.
All right, today I'm excited. I have Aaron Muller on the show, and he is going to talk to us about entrepreneurship, about having a lifestyle business, really kind of having your business work for you instead of you just working another job, which is your business. I think all of us have probably experienced that at some point in our entrepreneurial journey. But welcome to the show, Aaron.
Thank you, Gabe. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, when did you first realize that you're an entrepreneur?
I would say probably the first real time was when I was about 11 years old, and I lived on an island. It's over in the Seattle area. It's called Friday Harbor, and my parents moved up to the island. My stepdad bought a marina, and basically what happened was everybody worked on that island, you know, and you didn't sit at home and watch TV and that sort of thing, right? I mean, all the kids worked. So I'm like, what am I going to do? And I just like making money just because I like to save it even at 11 years old. And so what I did was I started a shrimp catching business, and I would get up at 7 a.m. with my parents, drive 10 miles into town, go on the docks, catch shrimp. And then I would go home that night, 7 o'clock, cook the shrimp and bag them up, 50 shrimp for $2.50. And then the next day I would go and sell them. Well, I'd catch shrimp the next day in the morning, and then I'd sell them in the afternoon to all the boats. I'd go walk up to all the boats and sell these shrimp. And I made an entire $130 the entire summer. Probably best price shrimp in the world.
Yeah, no kidding.
But the funny thing there, I'll just tell you the story. Basically, I was like, okay, man, I got to get more productive here. So I was like, you know, Mom, how do I cook these shrimp at the shop or at the marina, and then so I don't have to like cook them and come back the next day, right? And she's like, oh, well, use this crock pot. And so I don't know if you know how a crock pot cooks, but it's very, very slow, right? and dude, I was selling shrimp with like mushy brains, dude, like the whole rest of the summer. And I'm like, I think back and I'm like, what? And I actually didn't discover it until I went into a hardware store a few years later, and I saw a camping stove, and I'm like, why would my mom not recommend a camping stove, man? And so probably made a bunch of people sick during that summer, but you know. Hey, but it was awesome, dude. And then the next year I ended up doing a bumper boat business at the marina. So my stepdad invested a little bit of money into buying these boats for me. I sat on the docks all day long. I had an employee, actually became a lifestyle business owner. In the summer of August of that summer, I had some medical issues. So I had to go away for a month, and I had an employee work for me that whole time running the little business I had started, man. So yeah, I think it's in your blood, man. It's in your blood. If you're an entrepreneur, it's in your blood. That's
very cool. Last night I watched a just little clip of Marcus Lemonis talking about the first time he made a lot of money, or first thing he did.
Uh-huh.
He mowed lawns at like 11. He said he made $700 a week at 11 years old. I was like, holy
dude, that's insane though, man. That's some good money.
No wonder he's a billionaire.
People aren't even making that right now, man.
I know, it's like, wow. But yeah, I always love, kind of hearing where people start out at, because I'd say 95%, maybe even more of the people that have been on the show or that I follow or have watched interviews that are, successful entrepreneurs started out really young. Like they got a jump start on everybody else. So
yeah,
what worked, you figured out, you got some unintentional, obviously bad advice. Like you kind of learn along the way. And sometimes getting all those bumps out of the way or getting a lot of experience in is so much easier, because it's been a kind of a weird year or so for me, or even 2 years now, because this year I'm coming up on what I would consider 20 years of being an entrepreneur. Because when I was 16, I really started like doing my own thing and selling websites and doing construction and doing all sorts of weird stuff. But when you hit like the 10-year mark of supporting yourself off of what you make and create and sell, then it's like, oh, when you hit the 20-year mark, it's like, wow.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
And so,
life moves faster.
Yeah. And so there's just things that we take for granted since we started as kids that other people are literally just figuring out, and they may be in their 30s or 40s or 50s. And it's
so true.
Such a different perspective, which there's nothing wrong with. You start whenever you need to start, but it's just kind of interesting. It's that's been like a big aha over the last year or so. Like now I understand why other people don't get these things that I just inherently know.
It's really weird, you know, because you read books and you're like, well, yeah, I already know that, you know, like this isn't like something new to me, but it's kind of, it always reinforces some of that stuff, right? And it allows you to, you know, grow from it a little bit and learn maybe little tidbits out of there. But I mean, as an entrepreneur, you're going to fail so many times, right? I mean, if you're somewhat of a risk taker, that's how we learn, man. I mean, I hate school. I'm sure most entrepreneurs hate school, right? I mean, I cheated my way through school. And so the way I've always learned is my failures. I always call one of my companies, I had a business. It was a retail store, and I was very successful in this other business I was doing. Right out of high school, I bought into a business, my employer's company. I bought half his company from him, and we're like, oh man, I'm so smart. I can't do anything wrong. And then like, hey, Rob, let's open up a retail store. And so we do this thing, and the banker even tells me, he's like, hey man, just so you know, you're going to fail. I know you are, but you have this other business that's
it'll pay the bills.
Great, you know, that's going to pay the bills. I'm like, motherfucker, dude. Like, I was like, I wanted to fucking kick this guy's ass, right? Burt Cook, I know this guy, you know? And so I walked out there, and I'm like, I'm going to show him. And in 4 years, man, I was like, oh God, he knew what he was talking about. This guy, I hate this guy, but he was so intuitive to, you know, what we were doing, and smart, you know, business guy himself. And I failed, but it was my 4-year college education, dude. And I learned so much from that, man.
Yeah. So, you know? Real similar for me. Cause I built a multi-million-dollar construction company in like 5 years and lost it all because I wasn't smart enough to manage it. But
yeah,
take us from like shrimping to where we are today, and kind of a short synopsis of the story of your entrepreneurial life here.
Yeah, I'll try to make it quick as possible here. So basically, junior year in high school, I was like, man, I was working for a truck washing company, mobile truck washing company, a real niche business, industrial, just crappy, you know, getting up at 4 a.m. on the weekends, working every day, right? Or on the whole weekend long, employing like my friends. I was running this guy's company at 16 years old. And at my junior year in high school, I told my boss, I said, man, I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to probably start a landscape company. But I kind of knew he would, you know, I was making his life easy for the last 3 years of high school. So I knew he'd probably offer something, but he offered to sell me half his company. And that's what I did. And then, you know, from there, you know, like I said, did the retail store. And at one point, you know, when the store wasn't doing well, I said, man, I want to sell our business and put more money into this, our good business. Let's sell our good business and put it into the crappy business, right? Really smart. And so I'm like, all of a sudden a business broker came to my door the next day, or after that weekend. I said it on a Friday, and I had an envelope underneath my door that weekend. And I'm like, or on Monday, I mean. I'm like, what in the hell, dude? Like, who's bugging me? And so anyways, he came in, we listed the good business, sold it. But at that time, I came to that realization that I didn't want to be in that anymore. And so I paid off our debts, and I had made some money on Qualcomm stock, which is cell phone stuff. And so I actually had some money, even though I had, wasn't making hardly anything. And I went out and used this broker to buy another business, which was an auto repair shop. And I knew nothing about the automotive business at all. And it just looked cool. I saw the building. I was like, sold, I'm done, and he's like, well, first I said, hey man, I'm not a mechanic, the guy goes, neither was the guy that owned it for 16 years, and I just saw the building. I was like, okay, this is badass, man. I'm going to do something with it. And actually I interviewed the guy, and he's like, it was at Dairy Queen. And I said, I'm looking at your business or a HVAC company. And he like flipped on me. He's like, Aaron, I know nothing about the HVAC company. Why would you ask me that question? I'm like, fuck, dude, you're talking to me like this. I'm going to buy your business because you're an asshole. And I'm sure you talk to everybody else like that. And so I doubled this guy's business. He had owned it for 16 years, doubled his business in 1 year. But at that same time, I fell in love with the business brokerage world, right? And I wanted to become a business broker and selling people's companies. But I knew that I needed something income coming in. So 1 year later, I was able to get that business running. I actually hired a consultant, and I got that business running. So it ran itself. And then I became a business broker, and I've been a business broker for the last 17 years, and I own 8 other companies on top of that. So there you go.
That's really cool. I did a short stint in retail automotive care too. And it actually had a huge impact on how I operate today. It's very interesting.
It's all service based, man. I mean, it's all about service, right? And I love service businesses. And if you can have that service mentality and put it into every other business you do, I mean, it's golden, right?
Yeah. And the other part that's super interesting that I knew about, but had never really touched firsthand is flat rate pay.
Yeah.
It's
hey,
gold.
you know, and if you got a good business and you're a good marketer, you bring in the business, your guys are going to make more money doing that than anything else. Right. And so the trick is being the busiest shop in town. So everybody wants to work for you because they're going to make the most money. And then you're not lying to your mechanics and saying that you're going to make this much money and then you don't deliver. Right.
That was really, really a great experience because you've got the, you know, your mechanics will walk out on you if you don't do your job. Which is it's good pressure because that's where the first amount of pressure should come, in my opinion, is you should be serving and supporting your team first.
100%. So you're a service writer or something, you're selling the service?
Yeah, I was a service manager and like assistant manager and stuff like that. And like I could fill that garage most of the days. And then there was another service writer who was supposed to, I moved to like assistant manager and then he went to service manager, which is really the sales. Well, they're both, you know, the sales jobs.
Yep.
But he couldn't hack it. Like he couldn't fill it up. And then like the guys had been there for 20 years. So like, I'm leaving for the day, dude, there's no work. And he'd be pissed. And then, you know, he couldn't get his work done. And like I always tell people, like flat rate is the best opportunity. I like it because it's a good opportunity for the business owner if you do things right. And it's a great opportunity for the technician in any business. Well, you can triple or quadruple your earning, you know, your rate and if you're good at what you do.
Yeah, you know, and you got to really relate it to all positions, really. And this is what I try to do when I'm running any company. It's incentive pay, right? So if you can set up incentive pay for almost every position you have, your company is going to grow leaps and bounds versus just having this hourly thing. Mentality changes, right? So in any business I have and I'm able to do it, I try to put in incentive pay. And I learned that from the automotive business, really.
Yeah, I was only there 9 months because I of course was told I was going to make a bunch of money. I was in transition from losing my company to like starting my next venture. It's like, well, I probably need a paycheck or something.
Yeah. You
and
gotta
then,
do what you gotta do.
you're gonna make like $75,000. I was like, all right, that'll carry me for a couple of years. So as I'm doing the math after 6 months, I'm like, I'm gonna make like 35 grand, and I'm selling everything. So then I was like, I'm gonna move on. But it was amazing. It was I loved the experience. It was one of the best things I ever did.
Yeah, and the customers are a grind too, man. I mean, I personally can't do it. I did it for 1 year, and I'm like, I'm telling people, I'm like, hey man, go down to All Dan's, down the street. I'm sure he can do that for you, dude. Or hey, why did you give you 10 coupons, and you're like, bro, you can only use one. And they're like, hey, well, why did you put the 10 coupons in my mailbox? And I'm like, I didn't put them in there. The mailman did, dude. Like, you can use one. I mean, do you want me to pay you to work on your car? I mean, I just was like, I can't do this.
It's cutthroat, man. Yeah, I don't know if I would. I don't know. Yeah, it's an interesting industry, and it is coupon driven, which is absolutely crazy. Yeah. So cool. So you do all that. You buy and sell a bunch of businesses. You're a broker, and now you said 8 businesses, right?
Yep.
What are those businesses, and tell us like what your involvement is like throughout the week or the month with them.
Sure. So I have 3 auto repair shops, and they're all they're just mechanical, and they're all different names. And I just buy them, and then I have a eco-friendly mobile truck washing company where we wash 19,000 trucks a month. I have about 30 employees in that company. And we have an eco-friendly pressure washing company, which we capture all of our water. When I talk about eco-friendly, it's really, we're over here in Seattle, environmental things are really a big deal. We're really ahead of our industry. So what I had done was I had sold my truck washing company back in 99, and then my non-compete was up in 08, and I just saw nobody had changed, and I went in there and blew the thing up, dude, and just killed it and put big old logos all over our truck. It used to be where you hid from the EPA, the ecology. We're all like, our trucks say, "We clean green," and they drive around with this big green cab and they're huge trucks. And we use that to our advantage, and we're friends with all the ecology, right? And so that's one business. Business brokerage. I've sold over 150 to 200 companies. Actually have a digital marketing company where we do SEO for people and web design. And then we have actually an Amazon business selling a bunch of pet hair products, and then our academy. So I think that's all of them. Maybe there's something else in there I don't even.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So obviously where you're at now, it all sounds amazing and fun, and it's great. And
Yeah.
So I have a couple of questions, but how much work do you do on a weekly basis? Like, how many hours do you work a week?
Sure. That's a good question. And so basically, like, my whole program's all about, like, you're going to have to put at least 5 hours a week into any business. Right. And that's just because kind of monitoring various things, marketing, financials, some management stuff. Right. Being completely absentee is dangerous, especially, for too long.
Yeah.
And so I probably, some businesses I won't put any time in. Like, I bought a business, a year ago or something. And I probably, or a little over a year, maybe we're actually at 2 years now, man. Holy crap. And literally I probably spend maybe an hour a month on that business for the whole time I've had it. If you averaged it through the whole thing, it just runs, right? Yeah. So it depends on the business. When I'm growing a business, when I'm actually in that growth mode, then I'm in that business a lot more, and I'll spend that time and that energy right there. But I'm not going to do the day-to-day management stuff. I don't need to. You hire people to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
So then overall, do you work about 40 hours then a week, or
yeah,
what do you?
and I could work none if I wanted to just keep it status quo. But who wants to do that?
Right.
Especially if I'm 44 years old, man. Like, I got some energy still left, a little bit. I gotta save some for my wife too. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Cool. So I have a lot of questions about this because I bought a business last fall and I learned a ton.
Yeah. Good and bad.
Yeah, good and bad. Like, I'm still overall happy with my decision to buy it. I didn't do due diligence the way I will do it next time, and it was only like a $25,000 lesson. And I think I'm going to convert it to 150 grand. So it's not terrible.
So you bought it for 25 grand?
All in 25 grand is what I spent in about 90 days. So it's not like,
I wouldn't even do due diligence on that, man. I just like, oh yeah, that sounds good. I don't even do due diligence on a $500,000 deal. I'm just like, okay, I can make that work. Don't feel bad. You probably won't do any more due diligence. You'll think you will, but then you'll be like, I'm just gonna keep going.
Don't let my girlfriend and partner see that part of the show, because she'll freak out because she runs all the money. But
that's funny. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was gonna say something to that, but never mind. All right.
But yeah, I learned a ton, and it was like, I will do more due diligence for sure next time. It also was like, it's not nothing for me to blow 25 grand, and I didn't blow it, and it's converting and working, but I almost blew it.
It just took more work and energy to get it where you needed it to be, right? Than you were hoping it to be. You were hoping it would be a little bit more turnkey, probably, right?
Yeah, and it was misrepresented, which is that's where I didn't do the due diligence of, like, what I was told was there and what was there.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you some advice real quick.
Yeah.
The cheaper the business is, the more problems it has, and probably more deception there is. So, when people come to me to buy a business, and they're thinking they're going to buy a $25,000 or $35,000 business or something, and and it'd be great, right? You're buying basically I'm sorry to say this, but you're basically buying a piece of crap for $25,000.
You're buying a concept.
Yeah, and then you're going to make that baby work, right? So you got to kind of, if you want less crap, then you go up, and the higher you go up, then the less you got to deal with.
Yeah, that you nailed it. So it's a great experience, because it's something I've just had on my list to do. I've started every single thing I have. I've started multiple products, multiple businesses, and for the successful ones have survived. And I've started everything from scratch. So I was like, oh, I'll walk in and buy something that's operational. Yeah, kind of, not quite like that, but so that was cool. So it was on my list of things to try, which is good. Next time around, I will make a better choice for sure, and I probably will spend more, because I'll get more out of it, and it'll be running.
Get my book. I talk about all of this stuff. So
yeah, you definitely will.
I think you'll get something out of it just because of your situation for sure. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. So then my other question is, you kind of, you obviously set yourself up for success by being the best employee ever to have the opportunity to buy into half of that business. Was that really the catalyst that allowed you to have the cash to do everything else?
yeah, man. I mean, you just got it, dude. Like, that is, we preach it in the academy, in the book, everything. It's like, if you don't have the money to buy a business, become so valuable that they cannot lose you, that owner will say, how can I keep you? Well, I'd like to have some ownership in this business. Right. Mm-hmm. So I don't give a shit what you do as an employee, when you're starting out in your life, give it your all. Don't worry so much about the money and all of that stuff, because that comes down the road. And I think that a lot of times, and I'm not bashing millennials right now, but like, I think that the millennial mentality right now has a lot to do with, like their ideas that they're going to get out of school and they should make $100,000 a year, man. I say, dude, work for free and you might be running a freaking NFL football team, like, because whatever you want to do, whatever your fantasy of you want to do, you can do it. But if you put the money as your number one thing, you're going to lose a lot of opportunities. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And align yourself with the right people when you're doing that might give you those opportunities as well.
Definitely. Yeah, let's dig into that a little bit. So we both know Vlad, who is how we got the introduction, and yep. He is the opposite of the stereotypical millennial. He's super successful, super connected, hardworking, one of the best people on the planet. Yeah. So why do you think, and so like the way he operates is the way I operated as a kid, just like you did.
Yeah.
However, that's harder to find. What do you think is going on culturally that creates that? Because I always want to be really careful that I'm not, like, I'll be 36 this fall, and it's like I always want to be careful I'm not just becoming old and like saying, "Oh, you damn kids." But I don't think that's all of what's going on. And we were young and mildly successful, at least at least we worked.
Yeah.
And we figured it out. And then there's some people like him or like Ben Meditucci, or like there's some rock solid young people out there, but is that the way it's always been, or what do you think? I don't know.
You know what? And those guys excite the hell out of me, when I meet them, that young, ambitious guy. And you said the word, so I'm just going to bring it up a little bit, but culturally, mm-hmm. Some of the more of the immigrants that come into the United States have, even if they came when they're younger, their parents taught themselves. And so I think the American culture has gone away from that hard work, and it's more about like technology and getting that job, that cush deal, or this, something that they aren't even going to have to, do that labor, that hard labor. I mean, I built a house and I hired all Russians to do all this stuff, because it was a disaster until I got the Russians to come in and like and dudes were 19 years old doing quality work like freaking 50, 60-year-old American dudes could only do, right? But they were doing it faster and cheaper and better. And I'm just like, how the fuck how long you been doing this? Like 6 months. I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, but that is kind of our era, man. Right. I mean, like we were working from day one, and all my friends worked, growing up and stuff. So I think what happened is, and I have millennials, dude. I got a 25-year-old daughter, 22-year-old daughter, and a 19-year-old son, and some little ones. So dude, I'm in the freaking trenches of this shit. Right. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, I think what it is us as parents, we all grew up as latchkey kids, right? Our parents were out working, and we just come in anytime. They weren't really that involved a lot of times, sports. Maybe my dad would show up to a game here and there or something, like it wasn't like, but so then we felt like, it wasn't like it hurt us, but I thought, man, I'd be a way better parent, than that. I mean, I'm going to be like at every baseball practice, every game, I'm going to like help them be more successful and shit. And I think we just made a bunch of, people that like were coddled, and they talk about the trophies. My wife will flip out on that. She's 50, right? So she'll flip on that shit. And I say, it's not about the fucking trophies, man. I mean, it's just the whole mentality all around everything that, oh, you know what? They didn't do the dishes. I'll just do it. They had a hard day, like I'm just going to do that. And, oh, you know, you don't have to mow the lawn. I mean, that's kind of rough on you, I know, because you played like 20 hours of fucking video games. And so you were probably really tired, you know, like, so anyways, that's what I'm thinking, man. I think us parents fucked it all up. They're not to blame, but you know what? There are badass hustlers out there in that age group, you know, so you can't, and those are the ones you just want to hang out with. And that's why we all know the same people, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
We're all in the same circle because it doesn't matter what age you are. If you can hustle and be successful, you can be in.
And they'll listen to guys that are older, you know, like we can say shit and they're going, oh man, I like that. You know, like, you know what you're talking about. Like, oh, thank you.
I'm so smart.
Eagle. Yeah.
You're totally right. Yeah. There's, I can't remember. I got to remember where I read this, but I was reading a book and I was really impressed about the fact that this kid like came from a super affluent, well-off family. And he said his dad forced him every summer of high school and college to go dig ditches, literally, because he didn't want him to, you know, not understand what hard work actually was. And I totally agree with you that I always blame the parents, period, end of story. Yeah. So it's something. I mean,
do you feel guilty, man? I mean, like you sit there and like my guts are going, I'm making my kid do that. But I actually, my 12-year-old, I'm making him go down to my auto shop now and work and help me with my non-charm rollers and stuff, you know, and just get
do the dirty work.
That stuff. Yeah, man. But I'm still guilty too, dude. Like, so I'm not saying I'm this, you know, I've done a good job myself sometimes.
Yeah, but it's hard to balance because you don't want your kid to have to work all summer for $180, right? I mean, like, exactly. You don't want that.
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't get to have that kid, you know, because even in my 20s, dude, like I didn't do anything that the kids did in their 20s, and I ended up doing it all in my 30s. I became like a total partier and shit in my 30s and dating girls after my divorce and shit. And that didn't happen until my 30s because in my 20s, it was all about business. I got to do this. Like the guys that are ambitious that we meet, you know, they all have that mentality. It's like, you know, I got a buddy, another one, buddy that kind of knows all of them. And we were at the bar one day at like, you know, 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock. We had some, I'm drinking, you know, and he's like, you know, Aaron, and he's like in the real estate business, like, you know, Aaron, you could be like making calls right now and grinding and getting that done, you know? Like, you're really living a lot. Do you think you're – I said, bro, I've fucking done that shit. Don't fucking tell me that, man. Like, you do that right now, man. Don't tell me. And I'm living my life. I'm a lifestyle business owner, and I've made more money that I don't even do that shit anymore because I've learned how to do it smart. So you're in the learning stages. Don't try to flip me, dude. So,
yeah.
You know, but that's the mentality. You kind of got to be there, you know? And that's why probably like Gary Vee and all those guys are grinding. It's Sunday, dude. You got to work like 24 There's like, you know, there's 24 hours in the day, you know, this is Sunday. Why would you be like at the pool with your friends? You're a loser. Like, but now they're getting that shit in their head. And I think that's just intense bullshit, you know, like, fuck that, man.
We can definitely be friends with that impression of Gary Vee and your opinion of him. We're good now. I feel the same way. It's like, and the way you described it was really important. That's eye-opening, I think, is that you've already put in all the time, made all the money, made all your moves, and now you can do whatever the hell you want.
And I'm not giving up. I'm not like,
I know, but if you, like you said earlier, like if you want to take a week off or a month off or whatever, you can totally do it. And like, only because I like what I do, I haven't done all this, but end of June and first couple of weeks of July, I just took like 2 full weeks off. I haven't done that ever.
Oh, great. Right?
And it was amazing. And like I have some stuff to come back to and deal with, but it was like a very short stack of things. And like, I wasn't out closing business and doing what I do. So like, yeah, there's a little change in cash flow, but everything was completely fine.
But guess what? You'll be okay. Yeah. You know, especially if you've lost it, man, right? So we lost it, or I know I lost it.
I lost it all. So I know I have zero fear of losing things. It's like, it can't be as bad as that time.
No, but I found, dude, when I lost everything, I was like, and I even got divorced at the same time. And I'm like,
me too.
I was like, holy fuck, this was the happiest I had ever been for the last fucking 10 years of my life. I traveled the world, dude. I lived in a buddy's basement. I became a serial dater, dude. I was going to the bar at noon every day for 3 years, man. I mean, it was like, it was just because nobody was making any money, right? All our friends were 10 years back, dude. And we're like, I just put 10 years of this grind and here I am now. I'm like broke. That was bullshit. I got lied to on this deal, man. Like nobody saw the house values go down like that in their lifetime, you know, like you'd maybe get 3% a year. That was like, that's the worst case. But anyways, you know, once you've done that and then you you come back and it's like, boom, you can make money like that quick because you're just that much smarter. But I had that break, dude, like that break of just not that. And that's when I realized, that's why I started the whole lifestyle business. I wrote the book, you know, because I was like, what really made me happy, dude? It wasn't about like all the money stuff.
It's not the money at all. Yeah.
I was grinding all the time. Never saw my kids, you know, all that stuff. And so I found the love of my life and wrote a book and got the academy to teach people the lessons that I've learned, you know, right? Like we talked about, failure, you know, is one of those things where you learn, but what if you could do it and not have as much failure, right? I mean,
that's
way better.
That's the second decade of my entrepreneurial life, is like less and, you know, smaller failures, not as severe ones. The first 10 years was just blow up after blow up after catastrophic destruction.
The less time you have, the older you get.
But yeah, so yeah, that's definitely interesting. I lost it all in the housing market crash too. But yeah, I went from millions to, you know, I had a couple $1,000s in cash to my name.
Yeah. I had a buddy selling his Rolex, dude. He was like, this dude was balling the whole time I knew him from like we were 18. And he's like trying to sell his freaking Rolex to people. And like, I mean, using barter. Oh, dude, this is fun. Do you know what barter money is? Like Biz Exchange or Saturn, or like there's big barter companies. Okay. And it's like real cash, but it's not, you know, it's barter money and it's all taxed and everything. But this dude on his dating thing, he wrote, I have lots of gift certificate money to do things around town. I mean, because he didn't have any money. So he actually used that as like, I have like these gift certificates that I'm able to use to have fun and go out to dinner. I mean, we were cracking up, dude.
That's hilarious.
Different time for sure.
It was a rough period, that's for sure. But yeah, but it's nice because it's like, I survived that. I always tell people it's hard to kill me. It's like you can bounce back from it, and you can definitely start up a lot easier, and you can see through the bullshit a lot faster, I think, too.
That's so true. So true.
Yeah. So like now I'm 10 or 11 years past that. It's been, you know, whatever that is, a little while now. And yeah, just crazy. But it's, so, and life is good, and like things are growing, and like we have really good steady growth, and, you know, I have multiple products and multiple businesses and all that's wonderful. You've taken a big step forward from that though. Like you broker businesses, you have almost 10 businesses, and you can work or not work in all of them. So they're obviously clearly on autopilot most of the time. What is the biggest, obviously you got to stack the cash and make the money to have opportunities. That's pretty clear. You got to be good at what you do, be profitable. It's not what I'm asking, but that's a given to me. Mm-hmm. What's the big mindset shift of fully leaving the first one or two companies in a way that allows you to buy more businesses and do more? What are like those key steps? Am I being clear?
So what are, like, for you to go, I want to go do another one, are you saying? Or
yeah, so you said like you can work on one of your businesses like 4 or 5 hours a week.
This is good, you know, because I would say that this is what where I really got caught off guard, you know, the first time around. I had a trust fund partner before the crash, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I was just happened to be buying a business, and he was like, hey, do you want a partner? And I'm thinking, trust fund partner, sweet, you know, and it was like literally the worst thing that ever happened to me, right? Because he cut me off like in the middle of the crash, you know, like, wait a minute, and he wanted to buy a business every 3 months, right? So what I was doing was I was buying businesses and starting businesses really fast, you know, and I didn't have time to get any of them really making money or adjusted out, you know, and everything. And so the big difference that I took on this time around is when I'm purchasing businesses, and I'm the guy, you know, pretty much on all of them. And I have some partners and stuff, but I always make the decisions and control it. And I remember that, right? So I make sure that every business is when I say very profitable, like, I mean, between 15, 20% bottom line, right?
Right.
So I make sure that company's making at least that range before I go into the next company, because I want to make sure that it's strong, you know, and it's got good revenues and everything enough to sustain, you know, me being gone and having a manager and being able to pay a manager well, you know? And so I just build it up to a point where it's really working good, so that even if something does fail, like when our crash happens or this trade war thing, you know,
right,
does to us, I'm going to still have businesses that maybe not making as much money, but you know what, dude, I don't live paycheck to paycheck. So I'm smart about everything. And that's what you got to do. You know, you can't afford to go buy that, you know, $2,000 a month car, you know, and you're just doing it to impress your friends. Bro, don't do that shit. Like, it's just stupid. And that's, you get caught up in the BS, man. And you can look like you're rich, and they're the $40,000 a year millionaires, right? Yeah. Not the millionaire next door, the other guy, you know? And so anyways, just be smart and make sure that each business is going well first. And it doesn't even take that much cash to buy a business. I do a lot of bank financing, and I only have to come up with 10% down, dude, on all these businesses. Wow. So it's not even that much money. I can buy a $500,000 business and only cost me $50,000. And I'm making, I made 303% on my money. You got to look at your down, right? 303% on your money in my first year. This year is even going to be way bigger than that shit, because I've got it all dialed in now and stuff. So that's my first fucking year in business. Give me a stock that does that shit, dude. There's no stock. That's why I don't even go to the stock market anymore. I buy my own stock.
Yeah, no, I know. I have tons of people approaching me about, you should invest in this, or you should get into, you know, crypto was the big thing last year, or you should get into this and that. I'm like, the day that you can, in a contract, show me how that I'm going to make free and clear this much every day, like I do with my businesses, then we can have a conversation. Otherwise, quit bothering me, because my business will always outperform anything.
Don't get caught up in the hype, right? I mean, like, I think there's a lot of BS out there, and I think when you're young, you're impressionable, you know, and everybody hits you up, and you just want that quick money, and everybody wants that. But just, I mean, let's just stress it again, dude. There is no easy money, dude. Like, and maybe this one deal out there did get somebody, but you know what? Thousands of deals made people lose all their money. So just work hard and make good decisions and use your gut, man. I mean,
that's good advice. Yeah, it's too easy to chase the shiny objects and, you know, hope that you're going to have some windfall, and that's not how life works. You got to make every dollar. You know, you got to be profitable. When you buy something, or when you start. Well, let me ask you first question. Over the last decade or so, how many businesses have you started versus bought, and what's your preference?
I don't think I've started in the last decade. I don't, maybe one. Okay. And it was my internet business, the Amazon business. And yeah.
Comparatively, is that one, do you like that one as much as the other ones that you've bought, or no?
Well, that one's badass because it makes me a shitload of money. I do zero. Like, I literally just send stuff. I have a little warehouse, and I just 2 loads a week. And yeah, but man, I mean, I had to deal with the counterfeiters from China, you know, and they went to my business went to zero like for 2 months because I had to deal with that bullshit, you know. So there's always going to be a problem somewhere with something, right? So I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket. I'm just banking the money, and I'm going to use that money to buy more businesses. And we just actually bought a condo in Vegas for piss off money, you know, kind of thing. But, you know, but the next one's going to be a business opportunity for, from the monies from that business. So I look at my business as my investment money, you know, so I'll buy a commercial property or maybe another business with it. So that's how I'm handling all my money, you know, like rather than just banking it, I want to go buy another opportunity that gives me some cash flow and that security of multiple streams of income. Okay.
And then when you buy something, obviously it's a huge range business to business, but going into it, you obviously see some of it. You may or may not do some due diligence or whatever, but going into it, you have one perspective, then you get into it. How long do you typically plan to say, I'm going to focus in a lot on this to make sure it's the way I want? Is that a 3-month thing, a year thing, a 6-month thing? How do you approach that?
All right. So I recommend to anybody that is doing this, that isn't maybe highly experienced doing it. In my book, I even write this, it's 12 months. I always say, you know, devote at least 12 months in that business every day. And that's going to give you so much better chance to actually being successful. I'll typically spend about a month, 30 days.
Yeah, but you've done it hundreds of times at this point, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, not hundreds, but, you know, I've got 20 companies over times, you know, so, you just kind of know where my failures are but, you know, I would spend even 3 months into something, you know. I couldn't afford to spend any more than that, though, because of just everything else I got, you know, going on. You can't just be there for 3 months, you know. And when I'm in there, it's on the high level, right? You're just kind of making sure, you know, directing, and you have your systems in place. It's all about, you know, building those systems so that everybody follows your vision of what you do. And that's what I do. I go in there and go, hey, and I'm like, hey guys, you know, I've heard you guys are awesome, you know, and just, I want to keep rocking and rolling, man. And then I'll give people raises and shit, you know, they're like, whoa, this was awesome. You know, start off positive. Doesn't always end positive. You know, once you start seeing how good they are, you're like, oh shit, these guys suck. Thanks, everybody. I hate that part. You know, I hate that when it happens, but you know, you can't have people that aren't aligned with your vision. You know, when you go into a business, you got to make sure they're all aligned with what you are and on board and build the right culture that you're looking for.
Yeah, that's so true. And I've fired hundreds of people and it sucks every time, but it's always the best decision. Mm-hmm. You're right. They're not culturally in line. That's the biggest issue. Skill set wise, it's like you can always train. Most of the time, you can train skill set.
Yeah.
But culturally, if they're not there, or the attitude isn't there, or they're poisonous to the rest of the organization, you are in big trouble if you don't
want to keep the cancer in the office, right?
That's right. This is awesome. I've learned a ton. But about the Lifestyle Business Owner Academy, how that works, about your book, and how people can hook up with you if they want help or if they want to buy businesses, or tell us more about what you offer, what you're doing right now.
Oh, okay. So I kind of cut out there for a little bit, but like, so basically we have this academy, it's lboacademy.com. Or you can go, actually we have free videos and stuff that you can go on and get, like some free training videos to kind of get an idea what it's about at, it's lifestylebusinessowner.com. And they'll get 4 free videos. But what we're doing is we're teaching people how to buy a good business, grow the profits, and then get that business to ultimately run without the owner. We have over 110 training videos on marketing, finance, employee management, how to buy a business. You know, like a big beginning section is just how to value a business and do everything, and talks about a lot of stuff that, you know, you've gone through in buying a business and everything. And we just put it all together into this platform. My wife and I both did it because she's a big, huge part of all of my life and my success in my businesses. I partnered with her and we do it all together, you know, and she's way better to look at. And honestly, if I could just put her up front and do all that shit, we'd probably be way more successful with it, you know, because she's just like way more dynamic. Right. Mm-hmm. But it's just, we're a good team. And we put that all into play, and the book's kind of like the starting stage. You know, you got to get the book, kind of read it and get the feel for it all. And then the academy is just going to take you to a whole other level. Even if you own a business, it's going to take you, you know, help you get your systems in place, and then help you get to a business that's giving you more than just, you know, money, income. You know, it's almost building a legacy and giving you like let's say you like the environment, you want to, you know, you want your company to contribute to something into society more than just making a profit. You know, it's kind of talking about that and teaching how to have that mindset. And then if you don't know how to buy a business, it'll teach you how to get there, and then you start running, you know? So it's like, I bought the book, E-Myth Revisited when I first bought my auto shop, right? In 2099. And it was like the best thing I ever did, you know, because it gave me that mindset right off the bat. So our system's the same thing, you know, it's like really detailed. You're going to, you know, people are going to love it because it's no fluff. It's all about like step by step almost on how to do this. And from my experience, you know, and helping people be successful versus struggling. And I'm tired of people buying a job, you know, like they buy a job and they're there, you know, buy a business and it's a freaking job, dude. Like go fucking work for Amazon, make way more money, you know, like buy something that's going to give you a freedom of life to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Maybe just buy more businesses, you know, but like you can do whatever you want. That's what it's about.
Awesome. So we'll share all that in the show notes. Definitely check out the book and connect with Aaron. He knows what he's talking about, and he's not full of shit like some of the other people out there that, like you said, are the $40,000 a year millionaires. I'm stealing that. I like that. And but this has been fantastic, and we'll definitely have you back on again soon, Aaron, so we can dive into more stuff. So thank you so much.
Right on, dude. Thank you, Gabe, so much for having me, man. Absolutely. It was fun talking.
Thanks.
All right. Take care.
You've been listening to Today's Business Leaders with Gabe Arnold. Remember to subscribe on iTunes. For more information, visit todaysbusinessleaders.com.